And yes, that was our Aim Lab Combine promo. I think a good friend Sua from the old G2 days, one that used to work alongside Fresh in those days, that co-develops these sorts of things with Aim Lab. But we are back, and ladies and gentlemen, it is our match of the day. It's BDS versus Virtus.Pro, a classic France versus Russia, and winter has not set in just yet, at least the past few hours when I looked outside, but we got to go through this first with our CIS squad of Virtus.Pro, always stuck in the middle.
Yeah, unfortunately, and it does seem like their kickoff here or their debut into stage 3 has yet to, reap any kind of rewards just as of yet. However, they're on the board in some way, shape or form, and well, that doesn't really mean much when they're a team that's just trying to get out of that sort of 5th, 6th, 7th position continuously. I do think they have a good chance of sneaking their way into the major again. We saw Vitality almost do that the last stage, and then before, that's how VP manages to get into the majors all the time. I just think, unfortunately, when they're trying to going up against all these teams that are redesigning themselves, they are too far behind the curve, and they need to speed things up if they want to get into the fight.
I think they've solved the macro issues. We saw this last week. They've got a bigger map pool. That's great.
Sure.
But the micro issues that they had with dealing with the late round, it's just continuing. And that's, hopefully they've gone away and worked that. They've had 3 or 4 days, and yeah, we'll see in this match, I guess.
But how well can you prepare versus BDS, our French squad, Fresh?
And BDS are the benchmark, I think, across all of Europe. They are our kind of hopes and dreams internationally, even if they were slightly beaten by Empire at the Mexico Major. I think the kind of longevity of this roster, and they've got some superstar players. Shaiko, they've got Playday, the best support player in the world, I think, bar none. And really, they'll be looking to take this stage by storm and get a nice, simple win here.
It's the expectation for a team like BDS at this point.
For a team that can do well online, usually online, and then doesn't always transfer it over to LAN, but then proved recently they could transfer it over to LAN, unlike Empire, who struggles in reverse. They now have the best of both worlds. They've proven they can perform online, they can perform on LAN, and now all they need to do is polish off the edges. Imagine being a team that only needs to work on the most micro of micro things. That's amazing.
All right, let's see which map we're going to be playing on. We talk about micro and where you're supposed to kind of strategize for your opponents. Here it is, Chalet, bank banned out by BDS, and that puts us on the attacking side for them on Chalet.
Straight back to Chalet for VP.
I mean,
well, it was clear and obvious the errors. They should have won against Rogue. It's clear and obvious. Let's go back to the same map and give it another go. Fix those errors, Jess.
Sure. God, their post
that's what
plans
they must be thinking, right?
Sure, I will accept, but BDS got the choice between Bank and Chalet, and what I'm sort of throwing, the sort of dart into the dark or whatever the saying is that I think VP is just trying to fix their macro problem of their map pool by wildly swinging and hoping that they hit something, because if Bank and Chalet were the last, which, remember, in a best of one, the last 2 to 3 maps that are going to be there every time. How are they just going to all these maps that they either don't play, don't know, can't strat, can't be counter-stratted on? Is that their plan, that they can't be counter-stratted? I don't know what it is, but this is not their best maps.
That's usually the G2 way of doing things. If we don't know what we're doing, they won't know what we're doing. So in this case, I don't imagine it, but Fresh, is there anything you can do and play with map pool when we know the depth of BDS's pool?
There's not a lot. And honestly, countering or preparing against BDS is hard. I've done it. I failed. It is very hard. And what I will say about BDS is the exploits are obviously sometimes quite clear to see when you're countering them, but they just find a way to not make any mistakes. You find these areas that you can pick up in their game, and you think, oh, we can counter that. We can identify this problem. And then suddenly out of nowhere, they've just dealt with that counter because they've seen every way of doing it.
Plug the little hole.
And they're so good at doing that.
Well, I'm going to jump in quickly and say that since June the 1st, this has been banned by BDS 18 different times. So clearly it is a map they don't necessarily want to go to, but that looks like it's changed.
It's one that they tended to pull out at majors. They kept it away in the best of ones and then would pull it out at majors and international tournaments. So I was surprised to see it in the league play.
Maybe they're feeling more comfortable on it now. It's still up in the air to see how they can produce results online, or will it be VP that can finally snatch things and a victory here? 8-6 is what they had as a loss versus Rogue last Playday. Jess, Fresh, thank you very much. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for our match of the day. Again, it's BDS Virtus.Pro. We're going to go to the French Alps, it's Chalet. We've got Happen to take us through it.
Hello. Welcome back. I don't know if we were going to take, but hey, yes, indeed, we are going to Chalet, and it is going to be an interesting one, as mentioned before on the desk. Doesn't get played often, so it is going to be a bit of a shot in the dark in that case. Like, is Virtus.Pro going to be here to repair their mistakes that they made against Rogue, or will we see a good old BDS performance where they basically try to set the speedrun record?
There's always, it's the risk, isn't it? It's the risk of when you double down, when you run it back, when you see if you think you... It's not whether you think that you've learnt a huge amount, or it's not just whether you think you've learnt a huge amount between your performance on a map the last Playday and the time that you double down and play it again, but it's also the hope and the trust that you think... I guess maybe there's a lack of expectation. Maybe they weren't thinking that they would end up on Chalet, and they might not have potentially as prepped for it as they might have done on other expected maps. You're playing against the analysis of your opponents. It's also BDS. It's BDS playing this map. It's not a hugely common map for them, as it was pointed out, in terms of the best of ones. Which is a risk and reward. It's always a risk and reward factor. If it is one of these like celebratory best of 3 maps, sometimes you're just not as sharp on it in a best of 1 scenario. It's an entirely different mental game.
Interesting ban there, the BDS ban on the Jaeger. It's going to be forcing teams to play the Wamai. We know from experience that in the previous stages, BDS always was the one to ban Wamai rather than the Jaeger. However, they might have found out that, you know, teams might not play Wamai as much. Let's just go for the Jaeger ban. Like, force them onto a different strategy. Maybe that way they're going to be able to make their grenades a bit more useful. Besides that, only 4 magnets on Wamai compared to the 3 ADSs that will recharge every 10 seconds, so there's less utility to waste. As we do instantly see the Finker coming out again, and Lem's picking it up. 6-pick, of course, still in play. Could be removed from the board. It's not often an op already would show from the start, but it seems like it will survive for this first round.
I mean, she's coming on a bit of a resurgence. Obviously, the removal of the Flores and the sort of bait and play against that as well. It's something that can have a lot of uses here. You're thinking very short, sharp scenarios. You're thinking of, at times, sure, there are long drives to take one of those drones on, but the use of them in opening angles is quite an important part of here. If you've got a lot of sightline angles, if you've got a lot of like single mid punches by an Aruni across, you know, the dining, round into the swing towards the bar, or vice versa, or the similar stories in the second story. A Flores story could just sort of pop in, pop round, and get that opened into something which you cannot really comfortably hold it from the other side. So it means that we're probably going to see a lot more of that sort of play.
The Frost coming into play, not quite sure if he had any of the mats deployed on the game room window. Usually that would be the case. Yeah, they have it, one of them.
Single mat, not doubling down.
Yeah, sometimes we do see the double mat here, and often it will pick up 1, maybe even 2. But of course, spreading your chances might help out just as well here, especially if you're up against a team that, like BDS, that is most likely not going to be trying to go for a quick plant down the window without really clearing out everything. So with that, spread out the opportunities of catching someone off guard might be the way to go. It's BDS for now, seeming to put a little bit of focus towards the Solarium. Sherko up on the windows, a bit of support coming in from Rafal from below, and Trophy. And Lems, of course, just about to rappel up onto the roof, hoping to use those windows to his advantage.
So what are those gates across that sort of northern face towards anybody who might try and make that venture around that deadly L corner above? Pasha is waiting below, hoping that somebody goes in for the hop on the trophy window and they can get that cheeky spray again. Those punch hole angles, those mid sort of breaks that I talked about before, and why Flores is sort of off the board, is he can make those much more troublesome to sort of hold in these manners. It means that the game is not as easy to sort of play and dig in. The Gemini burns its way through as Lems tries to see if he can get a top angle. The pings are there, but with so many gates and so much of the utility to burn through, it's not really a fight they can take just yet.
No, for sure. Rask is in a key position. If he gets taken out, then suddenly Milan is a lot less safe on top of those stairs. Now, the grenade opportunity is being created here for Shaiko. The Rooney laser gate just has been wasted, so grenades are about to be coming down on both these shields at the same time. One goes in. Now they just need to get rid of the guy that is playing on top of the fireplace. As soon as they manage to get him, the top floor control is just a matter of time.
Yeah, the pings are coming through now. They're well aware there's still that body. He's going to hold on for as long as possible. There's not an easy rotate out of this. He could try and swing a little bit wider, but even then, if he's going to hit that hatch, the chances are he's going to get taken by the Renshiro, who's just holding the cross angle in the cover. As you see him spray through, Rask is just step by step. WTG is in a position to make sure Renshiro cannot hop in, and Pasha is still not too far away. He's probably not going to rotate round onto the Solarium stairs, but he is still ready in case something happens on that west main side. Alems, in the meantime, is taking a bit of a trip to the other side, and the spray round Playday opens up. Milan was just sort of hoping he could hide behind that case, but with the follow-up that happens instantly afterwards, it's Kajeka that actually gets Shaiko around the stairs and retakes the mantle over the top of the white stairs.
Playing on those stairs, they need the Lems now in a gunfight with one on top of the fireplace, and they really need to pinch this down. There's 30 seconds left. It's not much time they have. In order if the adrenaline surges is about to come out to try and give a little bit of a boost in this battle, but Kajeka, well, he's holding off quite well. It's just being as passive as he possibly can. Still the opportunity to fall back into safe ground relative, well, with ease. There's one of the BDS members downside, not even. They're all going to be from upstairs.
Well, 10 seconds. They got to get down as quickly as possible now as they find themselves with a man-down disadvantage situation. The hot drop comes through, can't quite connect entirely with the body inside the back line and the stock side, but he's going to try and stick the diffuser either way. Rafal goes down, Renshiro finds one, but with Pasha getting the diffuser planter, that round falls into the favor of Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, they saw two men just going through the door. Rooney and what was it? Frost coming through, able to pick up the kills, or kill rather, up there. As we're quickly going to go for a bit of a pause, just quickly fixing, as we are currently up in 0-1. There's not much to say yet.
It's always the thing when it happens early, because it happened before in the previous game. It was after the first round as well. Then it was fine. Then it was
do we have any RGB kitchens here? I don't think we do.
No, that's just a standardly lit kitchen by the looks of it.
Let me see. What was the name called again from the cat? Was it Echo?
Echo. Yeah, Echo is a Lems.
I don't see Echo. Do you see Echo? You play a game of Where's Echo?
This is the favorite game. There should be more pets in cams. We obviously had Leon.
Yeah.
With Leon's baby kitten.
What was the name again?
I don't remember. But I remember that there was. It was great. Was it Bobby? No.
Was it? For some reason, I have George in my head.
No, he's a F1 racer.
That's true.
No RGB kitchen tier. Kajeka actually has no lighting at all.
He's alone.
There's no light bulbs at all. It's okay. We're on the first round. What we've seen there from BDS was they spent a lot of time trying to take out the Virtus.Pro players, trying to dig them out of these power positions. Virtus.Pro didn't hand them over. And I think that's the sort of crux that BDS found them in, because their opening frag was just swinging the fight, was just sort of taking it and trying to take advantage. They did all of that dedication outside of piano window onto that balcony. They had obviously Renshiro holding off on the opposite side as well. But until Alems had gone up and over the building, which is a long rotate, it's a 15-20 second rotate, they then were able to start trying to take control. And at that point, Virtus.Pro just didn't hand over. They didn't give the territory away. They actually fought back to try and retake it. They made sure that their extension was one that they wanted to keep. And I don't think BDS really had the answer to that, because as soon as they started to try and go for their execute, it's suddenly 15 seconds left, and they don't really have anything to their name.
No, there was not much to the name indeed. Like they tried to go for the gunfight, didn't really win it down there in the bar, so they had to just go for the plant, and there was still 4 members alive at that point from VP. So, you know, it was almost certain that someone was going to be able to get the angle down, especially since it was that 2v4. There's only so much you can cover in your own on your own. So, Virtus.Pro deciding to go for that top floor now. Decided, of course, the bar first. Now we will see the bedroom and the office. Of course, with that beautiful wall we often see. One of the walls not reinforced towards the library hallway. It's just to a bit of a challenge in case there is need for it. See the mute gemmers, I believe. Yes, to make sure that no Selma just gets tossed on, and will be taking care of that wall. Of course, the counter to it would be to go from below. Very often nowadays we also see teams play a level below, but I don't think that VP is currently doing that.
Rask going with a similar sort of hold, a similar extension as previously thing. A little bit more kind of reserved. He's pulled a little bit further back on the pillar. It means that he could potentially swing onto the balcony and try and apply some pressure just above the fireplace if he wanted to. But it's still a bit of a cost. It's still a bit of a risky play. It's something where they're still dedicating some utility to it, but you can see that there's nowhere near as much. Talking of BDS, they're dedicating themselves much quicker to the side of the site. The spray through does a lot of damage to WTG, doesn't quite net the kill, but does sort of say, hey, we're here and ready. So Virtus.Pro, you better hope your defenses at this point. It sounded like they were still doing some setup, and suddenly that timer has been very quickly taken to 0.
Definitely so. Scars will be used here to get rid of the laser gates. Now, of course, you have the opportunity to start breaching onto the hardwall. Grenades are coming in as well, but as you saw right there, the Prisma is still alive. Shaco receiving a bit of pressure now from the library hallway. Just a quick punch into the window, nothing too major yet, but it does mean he could be peeked at any second.
Playday is just going to try and burn those ADSs. They want to see if they can alleviate some pressure into the bathroom. It does become this sort of corner on the hold, and that's why there's Milan dedicated in there with a lot of other support. Sprays through and tries to anticipate the play of LMs here. They want to see if they can get him on the swing before he has a chance to try and burn through as much, but with the gates going back up, it's a very well-played cost game there. They've just put a little bit more into the pockets of themselves and taken even more out of the pockets of BDS, who are really going to struggle with the burn here. The spray just comes through yet again. The first kill goes to a player just swinging on, but Pasha, with a run-out, is able to take care of Rafal. The Nomad's gone. The air jabs, you hope, are in some certain low places, but otherwise, it means the risk on this window is suddenly much greater.
For sure. 2 of the players, however, are currently off-site, and that means that they quickly need to make sure that they're going back up to that top floor, because otherwise the BDS members have the opportunity to just outrun and overrun the sites and its defenses. WTG, however, gets the kill to Shaiko. Kasheka will follow that one up with 1 into Trophy himself, and that leaves it all up to Playday and the Lambs, who are both up in the Solarian Repel.
Yet again, those gates are being reactivated, and it just shows how on top of this hold and how much Virtus.Pro are putting in terms of, we are keeping this territory. We're not giving you anything. We're going to make sure that this ground that a lot of other teams would have potentially handed over, or at least tried to reformulate around, they're going to say, no, 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 this is ours. This is our staircase. And BDS, they find themselves obviously in a 3 versus 1 situation. Playday has only 15 seconds to go 2 stories and see if they can get 3 kills. But that is nothing that he is pushing for currently. A slow start from BDS, where he's not quite been able to get the idea and the mantle on where the players are. Virtus.Pro, though, have met these windows with aggression.
And that's currently their strength. They're really putting the fight up to BDS. They're not letting them go for any of these executes, because you and I both know, as soon as you let BDS get into their groove, as soon as they get into their game and they play that methodical kind of siege that they do, there is just no stopping them. So you really need to make sure that you stop them from really executing that. We saw as well, you were talking about Cyclops earlier against Empire back at SI when they brought the fight to the outside. They were also able to disturb BDS quite a bit during the game. Was it before or after? I'm not really sure anymore, but at least it was on the same day. So you just need to make sure that BDS, they cannot get into their rhythm. And if you stop them from doing that, you have a good opportunity to pick up many of these rounds, especially in the early game.
It's a tricky start. It's a tricky start here for BDS. They're sort of trying to go for these takes and attacks, and they're putting so much into them, but it's not quite netting the results that they're wanting or expecting. And, the most obvious sort of burn of that is the burn of utility, is the burn of those gates still being able to be reactivated. Yeah. From Virtus.Pro's side, you have a 30-second window. You have 30 seconds to try and implement something on that pressure. Sure, okay, what they were trying to do the first time round was clear all the ADSs in the kitchen so they could then get the fight in there. The fight ended up just being a gunfight, just being a swing in a position, and then they tried to burn it again, and then it was still a tricky situation. And you wonder, when is your sunk cost fallacy? What point do you pick up sticks and move somewhere else to see if you can try and strong arm a different angle?
This is that age-old result. Like you can basically apply to any project, where money gets sent in, and then they still don't have the results, so they keep sending in more money to get the desired results. Basically the same, but here with utility, in the form of flashbangs and Excaras that are being used to burn these gates. Again, you see it happening right here. The mine magnet gets wasted.
What was that, Rask?
He's just playing around with the shield. He wants to put it down, but he's not sure if he wants to do it yet.
They're speaking with it. Lost is not in the game yet. No.
I think he just wants to place it in a safe
There it
spot,
is.
but he's like, that's not safe. There's people on that rappel. If I do that, I'm dead.
Yeah, Rafal, he's in a situation here where he's obviously, you know, going to try not to get run out on again. Had the air jab set up very early, made sure that they were in place. They're all in pocket, but there is a body that is not too far away, ready and waiting down to try and keep applying this aggression. They seem like they're exploring a little bit more of their push. Here comes that grenade down deep, doesn't quite drop the shield. Rask survives for a moment, but yet again, the first kill comes because of a BDS player just jumping in, dropped by Milan, who was able to find a pocket of space, but Playday tries to double down on it, put the pressure in at the same time. Swung in, drops the camera. They've been able to build behind the early footwork and a Lems. Though he's gone, his team has been able to fill that mantle. Now, suddenly Virtus.Pro, they're on the back foot, and very much so. WTG is the last one remaining. There is a lot of time, but BDS for the first time have been able to implement on their attack.
Yeah, for sure. There's also no utility for him to use. Just has a shield a little bit further on the half wall that he might be able to play, but he's trying to play this smart. Of course, the drones are about to come in. These sides will be called clear now. Hoping to at least pick one off guard. Shaiko might be the first. Will not be able to win that gunfight, however. Shaiko gets that final headshot. That is BDS with their first round in this game. And we are going to have probably another quick pause. I'm not quite sure. Either way, it is going to be a 1-2 situation. So, as we see, Shaiko's... I always like it when you know, you see Shaiko, you see the program open with all the cameras of the BDS players on the back on the second monitor. He just likes to be able to keep an eye on them, see how his teammates are doing.
You know, keep everything sort of put together and solid. It's, I guess, a sort of setup. It's this stretch and the pressure of how are they going to keep building behind this? Because as I said, it was this. You know, a lot of dedication. It was a lot of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if they could make it stick. But every single round, that first engagement was, I'm just going to take the fight. Karzeka has lost
every...
even more light.
He turned his monitor off. He's like, I'm not dealing with this.
Before it was no lights.
It was just the monitor light that was coming in. Oh, he's back.
He's back.
There he is. So he was just not there. I thought he turned his monitor off, but he's playing in a very dark room. Okay, so personal preference. I prefer to have a bit of light on in the back when I'm playing games. I'm not sure. Like, I know a lot of people that like to have it purely like dark. What do you think? What's your preference?
I don't think I'm good enough for a preference to matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I think it's suitably dark. Okay. I don't think you need to be in the in just wherever Karzeka is. He's in the Aether. He's playing from space.
What if 3 out of your 4 members want to play in the dark, and then 1 doesn't, and you're in a team house together?
Get him a nightlight, like a little plug-in one. Yeah, they're scared of the dark. It really depends. I think it depends. If it's distracting or if you're getting screen glare, turn it off. Play in the dark.
When you get screen glare, you just close your curtains. That's normally what causes it, right?
I don't know. What am I, a scientist?
I don't know. Are you?
No.
2-1.
2-1. Virtus.Pro. They lost the most recent one, and they lost it because BDS built behind the throw-in. They doubled down. They kind of went, okay, well, we've had this lead, and let's see what else we can make of it. It's that risk and reward, because Virtus.Pro, when they're at their best, they're aggressive everywhere. They're always such a fun team to watch when they're at their best, because they just love taking fights, and they'll take them in a lot of situations where a lot of other teams don't. And BDS were trying to hope to get that sort of slower, more cautious BDS. Hey, you recognize?
I think it rings a bell.
I think he used to do some stuff in the scene.
I think so as well. I'm not quite sure what it is anymore. What was he? Did he win any games? I think World Championships, maybe even.
Maybe.
It's a long time ago.
Love you, Pengu. Shout out, Niklas. And it was right. It was. Go back and watch all the games. But that Con Navi game was amazing. And this, it has the potential to build up to be, because at this point, I think BDS needs to try and find a response for Virtus.Pro. Virtus.Pro, you know, they've now suffered a little bit. They have this moment, though, to double down. They have this moment to try and keep putting pressure on, which when they're on their game, they do, and they usually do it very well.
You always have to remember, though, there's always two sides to the game of Siege. So Team BDS, you know, they might be struggling just a little bit now, especially in these starting rounds. But, you know, maybe that is going to be completely changing as soon as they hop over to the defense themselves. We don't know. At least for now. They managed to find an opening in the previous round. They managed to build on the back of it, as you said. And they're going to try and do the exact same thing. Nitro tossed out. Not going to be able to find the Hibana that just opened up the hatch. Milan, he's just trying to spot someone crawling past, but it's going to be Ventura that's on the outside, so there's no way for him to see him.
That's the double burn here. The Arena gates both gone. Now they're going to see if they can build behind it. But look at this. There's that aggression I talked about. Almost rewarded massively, but Shaiko had the cover there, and Milan goes down. The canister means that they can't quite get the push behind it. But look, Rask has pulled away from the shield. Suddenly realized that the push was multifaceted. There's still more utility to burn. They've got to see if they can try and take this, but the cost is coming back on the opposite side. Kajeka has taken the mantle of the White Stairs as the grenade catches Kajeka. A bit of revenge before, and Shaiko, he finds his way around with the Gemini. They're well aware that there's still bodies inside and holding on towards that top corner of the map, and another body has actually just rotated up the main fireplace stairs. Virtus.Pro, they're not going to let go as of yet, and Pasha is the third body that is going to play around this White Stairs, blinded and hurt, but pulls back to a little bit of relative safety as we pass the minute mark now, as WTG is toying with the idea of going a little bit further away.
As they have the opportunity to, of course, safely rotate out. Drone there giving away a lot of the information as Pasha picks up a beautiful shot. He's being challenged, but Shaiko wins that one out to our left. One on the top of the fireplace behind the shield. It's Rask playing with the FMG9. He's going to try and pick up some of the kills. We'll be able to get one down. Goes for the second one. We'll lose that fight, however. But it's going to be the instant turn back from WTG. And now we're in a 1v1. It's Lems versus WTG. Lems knows the round position where he is, but of course time has already passed.
Well, the spray comes through, well aware of each other, but Lems took the fight from above! Now, the quote is if you have the high ground, but in Siege, it doesn't always go that way.
Especially not if you need to drop a hatch. So, Lems deciding that the best way to win that round is dropping the hatch and just spray and pray for the head. Well, it worked right there, but normally we just see the legs being sprayed out underneath people before they even get into the opportunity of being able to return fire. So BDS, well, able to pick up a very important round there. 4 grenades used to kill the one member onto the stairs, and you know, you saw what happened. Someone instantly took that place, so it was not like they took care of the situation. They temporarily took care of the situation.
Yeah. Again, it's this Virtus.Pro game. It's this hyper-aggressive game. As I said, they always have the potential to respond aggressively. They like to meet fire with fire, and they were almost massively rewarded. There was 3 people lined up, got the drop on the first, swung to the second, but there was 2 more suddenly shooting at them. It was a quick response from BDS. You know, in a lot of other situations and games, it could have been something that swung away from them. Shaiko has started to sort of dig his way into this game now, 6-3, and that's mainly built over about 2 rounds.
Yeah. You know, I think Shaiko's just thinking right now, like, last week, just said, like, Doki has the biggest EPP. No one is ever going to be getting a bigger number than that. Now Shaiko's like, well, I'm gonna have to step up. I'm going to have to try and prove that theory wrong. And 6-on-3, of course, already doing quite well so far in these last 4 rounds. There has been one more. That is, not sure if that's on the scoreboard. Actually, it might be. Yes, should be. Yeah, because we have 4 deaths on Milan, so it is on the scoreboard. Excuse me. Either way, see a similar hold up onto Fireplace, even though that the bomb site has changed. We're now in the bedrooms again. But still a very important hold coming down, whereas BDS seems default cam. That's a default cam, indeed. That definitely is. Just got shot, but they're well aware of the person inside the bar now.
Yeah, I think you always expected the push to come from that side, but 3 of them on the drones there against a team that does love to get Aggie. Might have been in a situation where they could have punished that, so dropped quickly. The spray, though, comes through, suffered in the shoulders of Shaiko, who's going to give the call. Oh, they're sort of well aware of where I am. I'm going to see if I can push against this. Pasha, the longer he stays here, the more likely BDS is going to try and regroup. But look at this, swung around, takes the fight and just wins it out. Massively damages the body on the fireplace side. There's one coming from the split here, and I believe somebody's just hopped into the little box. They have. He is entirely isolated. 3 bodies, 3 players all the way around, but they can't quite get an easy route through, and the longer that they wait to try and get this revenge, well, there might be a lot of that taken out of their attack.
Just being shot up. You're watching the head, Playday! You're looking him right into the face as Pasha will go down now, however, so it's an effective 3-on-3 situation, but there's still someone close to try and help. Renshiro picks him up. Pasha can easily be confirmed right now. It's a 2-on-3. We get a bit of a finger boost to provide a bit of an extra push to come through, and there's still 1 minute 20 left on the clock. But Playday, you were looking at Rooney right into the face. You didn't have to die like that.
A little bit of a disconnect there, but can they try and build behind it? They're still not going for that confirmation on Pasha, but he is in pretty much dead man's territory there. There's no real way to get round to him without any sort of semblance of cover there, with Alem's obviously still viciously holding onto that angle as well. The drone confirms the Aruni's down now. They're just going to push and finally end the fight there. And well, with 50 seconds in a 3 versus 2, they have a lot that they can build behind, but they still got to try and put the pressure onto the site itself. There's still 3 smoke canisters in the pocket of WTG, and well, Rask hasn't quite been able to bite into this game as of yet, but now is the moment. The first goes out towards the balcony, drops the door and stops any approach there. 30 seconds left, so you could use both canisters to stop anything swung there, but you assume we're about to get a little bit more of a wider push.
Still 5 flashbangs and 2 grenades left though on the side of BDS. There's still plenty of utility to try and go for it. They have it. Grenades and flashbangs are being tossed in to get rid of the player that is playing behind the piano. They really need to push in now. WTG takes a little bit of damage down. That's a grenade beautifully placed onto Rask, and that is the cover of Alems. The plant was going down. He picks up the double kill. Quite crucial for this round he was. With that BDS pickup, yet another round, and suddenly they take the lead. It's 3-2 for them after they were trailing 2-0 before. And right now, BDS on a roll. They have gotten into that rhythm we warned about before. As soon as they get into it, it's very hard to get them out of it.
It was really well played by Pasha. Buried in on the bar, obviously able to find 2. He's in that sort of no man's land situation. He drew a lot of focus and attention, but Alem's picking up a 4K across that round and just being in that sort of cut-off situation to make sure that they couldn't get him back up. If he wasn't there and they sort of had the pressure still coming through from the sort of billiard side door, where we're seeing the frost mats being placed there, or the window even, and with the pressure from Renshiro on Fireplace, you know, that was their only real window, but even then, it was still a very dicey run. And, you know, just being able to drive behind that and still get to the side in time and get things planted, it's good. It's that energy from BDS that we were missing on those first 2 rounds, the ability to just roll up and take things.
That is also their strength. We've said it before, even when it's looking like BDS shouldn't be winning the rounds, they sometimes just find that little gap and they just brute force themselves through with everything they have. And that means you can never really count them out as long as they have equal or well, man advantage, even though, you know, the utility or the setup currently doesn't seem suited for them. So, VP, last defensive round for now. Of course, there is the opportunity to get more if you manage to go to overtime. I assume they will be granted one. As BDS starting out on the attack here, probably will choose defense for overtime. There's, again, pressure coming in from the side of Solarium. Milan well aware, here's it all happening, but he's more concerned about the balcony next to him, and rightfully so, as that is, of course, a direct angle. I was going to say he got misdrawn, but they should have just seen him.
Yeah, they just swung around at the last second there, caught him on the drop, and it also found a meat jammer just in the dying throw as well. So, that last second call was the one that's been able to build them behind this. Do they know? Well, now they do. Alems wins it against Pasha. Still on the tear from the previous round. Took that fight. Really shouldn't have put the pin and baited the jump. Takes care of Milan as well. BDS. They were a bit sleepy at the start, but suddenly they're here for the skiing holiday.
Oh man, that's 2 gunfights that shouldn't have been won by either of the 2 members of BDS. It took a bit of a beating as a result, but well, it's 2 kills, so that is the way more important part in this story for now. Lems at the upside down rappel into the library now. The rest of the top floor seems to be taken, and Lems, however, got neutralized. Rask picks up the kill. It's a very important one because we all know what the man can do. The next task of BDS will be to get rid of these 2 shields yet again. It's the ever-so-old story of this site and this hold. The question is, do they have enough utility to actually manage?
Kajaka still on the backbone and the hold on the top of the white stairs, is waiting for the pressure to potentially swing around from the opposite side. They haven't quite been able to get the clear on all the utility that is otherwise in front of them, but as they start to burn it through, there's still 5 flashes in the pockets before that next grenade. WTG has to wait for that to open.
What happened? Did he just toss his nitro through?
No, I think he...
No, he still has it in his hand.
He still has it. He's waiting. He's holding. He's patient. He's blowing them up. And there they go. There's the trade and a quick pick up. But they also lost a body at the top of the stairs, I believe, at the same time. No, it was actually deeper in the site itself. Kozheka had pulled himself back. Sprays round, and Shaiko gets one more. And... oh, BDS, they found a little bit of cruise control speed.
Yeah, they're really starting to get into it now. I have to say, though, really good nitro to come through. They had a motion sensor placed. As soon as that popped up, they knew that it was time to get that nitro through. They would guarantee a kill in that round. So 4-2, and even though a valiant attempt there of Virtus.Pro to bring it back to equal numbers, the train was already rolling. BDS was able to walk away with that round. So heading over to the defense themselves now. We said it before, there's always two halves to a game of Siege, and where it looked like BDS was struggling in the first 2 or 3 rounds, it now actually turned out that VP was the team that had the rougher half. So maybe they can turn it around now on their attack. We all know that it's still a relative new map. The meta hasn't been exactly settled yet on what side of a map it, exactly is. And in some regions it's defense-sided, in some others it's offense-sided. So we just have to wait and see what kind of a day it is.
Now, both Alems and Shaiko having a great game so far. Has been that terrifying turn of place, the pull on the pin, and then the change to the gun. It was just another fight that really shouldn't have gone the way of BDS. 2 is the opening 2 within split seconds of each other. And Virtus.Pro suddenly found themselves suffering across the board. But now they have the chance to put some attack in. We have seen across other regions and across some statistics and tournaments that attack has generally been more favored for a lot of these teams. For Virtus.Pro, sometimes their attacks can't quite get that pointed edge that they need to drive their way through. And I'm hoping that they have some of the energy from their earlier rounds here.
That's definitely something you would like to see. They need to make sure that, well, first of all, they have the energy of the first round, but also what we know to be the second half of Virtus.Pro, because, sometimes they have a bit of a slump. They start slow and then they get going again. You really don't want them to end up in such a situation. You really want them to be at their best right now against BDS, who we still consider to be one of the best teams in Europe. Of course, next to Empire currently, and of course Na'Vi, who tie up in overall points.
Grenades are coming out quick, and Renshiro perfectly droned and dropped there by the swing on the side. Milan spraying through finds Rafal, who...
that shot was not meant for him.
No, it was not. Wow. That was one of those unfortunate moments. But to be fair, this game for Rafal has been a series of unfortunate moments. He hasn't quite been able to find any sort of fight in it. They're just going to quickly rebuild that barrier, so they can't hold an angle from that relative safety from the range. And Rask, he's got plenty of time. Of course, 2 stories of trouble. I feel like I'm playing the Grand Last event again.
And before default, start dropping down at the bomb sites itself so they can plant in the basement. That would be something else. Either way, it's BDS still. Playday on the board, Shaiko on the board, and LM's on the board. 3 of the biggest players, of course, in that team. And Playday, the man with a big clutch factor, has the opportunity to come in big here. Still has 3 smoke canisters, so the longer it takes for Virtus.Pro to get their final approach started, the more chance there will be for BDS to actually clutch this down. That is something that needs to play in their minds right now. There's still about 40 seconds of denial left in the hands of BDS. There's still a nitro left that they can use to stop the planter from going through, so they really need to go for a full take here.
Now a drone was just about to catch Lems underneath, so they'll be well aware that he's there with that C4. It was the play that they played off before. 2 bodies trying to get through one window, go for the swing and have the angles opened up. Playday has been forced back into the bathroom and is hoping for a hot hop to come through here as Kozheka just jiggle peeks round. They still have 45 seconds. It's loads of time and they've done a lot of the openings. So instead of risking the fight, they're going to go for a bit of a reward here. Shaiko sprays back, doesn't quite get the lock off and Rask. There's the Gemini gone. They're well aware of that corner, but there is finally the first kill this round to come through. The spray on the window is covered by Milan as they're going to try and plant inside the smoke around on the backside. Obviously, actually, just getting the toes of it.
No way, he gets
does
it.
Connect the C4 just after as well. Shaiko, 20 seconds left. It's the 2 players that have been big for BDS so far. They're trying to find one underneath and Pasha locks it off. Suddenly, it's just Shaiko left. The diffuser back in the hands of Kozheka. The rotation comes through, but Milan has that on watch and Virtus.Pro take the round.
I was going to say, there is the cover that should really be enough to stop him from going for this big flank, and indeed it was for now. As we're heading into another quick rehost here, just getting everybody back into the lobby. Right now we're up 4-3, so it is close. It is just a singular round dividing the two for now. The question will be, will it stay like that? Are we heading into an equalized score, for example, 4-4, and, you know, start seeing a little sprint towards the end? Are we going to overtime yet again? EWO has been quite close since the start of this stage. How many overtimes have we had so far? I think 3 out of 6 games.
Quite a lot. It's
3 out of 7 games.
I think this one always had a chance of going to overtime. Because the catering arrived just as we started.
Of course, yeah, no, that's a given. That,
Yeah. Like, it arrived literally as we were coming onto the set.
I even helped Petron to unload it and put it on the table for everybody else to eat. So yes, I saw my own food.
Which I think is the best thing for medics, actually. It proves his worth, because I know for a fact he's observing and eating right now.
He is observing and eating.
That man wouldn't stop.
Of course not. He's just going to continue. He was asking.
That's how talented he is.
Yeah.
He can observe.
At the same time, he's telling conspiracy theories about pigeons.
Well, birds aren't real. We know this.
No, true, but, you know, he believes in a higher power from the pigeons, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah. Just like the Eiffel Tower is not actually made of steel, but is the Banana Tower, I believe it was, right?
He has a lot of
history lessons.
A lot of history lessons.
Yeah. If you ever need to know the origin of a building, just at him on Twitter with a building and ask him why or how it was made. And he's going to give you the best story about it. And it is 100% true. We can guarantee you that.
Talking about why and how is it made, let's talk about the fact that we're currently sitting on Virtus.Pro trying to pull themselves back in, and what worked on that attack. It was gifted by some very sharp intel. Yeah, obviously that lead-in kill there with the grenade that bounced around and just caught the side of Renshiro. He was holding a very aggressive angle. And Renshiro and Rafal haven't quite really been able to find their way into this game so far. Okay, Renshiro is on a positive KD, but the positionings that he's holding compared to his usual, they felt a little bit less secure. And I think that's something that you're always gifted by him as a player, is his security, where if he's in a situation, if he's locked off, people have a fear about approaching it. And
that's it, right? People call him consistent. Like, he's one of the most consistent players in EUL.
Yeah.
For now, oh, look at that. He was just aiming at the Iruni. I think maybe it was actually meant for Rafal. I'm not sure. I think they originally started shooting to get the Iruni and then might have spotted out the player deeper into the bedroom and decided to go for that instead because, you know, Shaiko already far in the corner, not able to be reached. So we do see the Kona stations to be used. It's going to be interesting to see, indeed, where they will be placed. One at the bottom of the stair makes sense. However, very often grenades do go quite far, and if that is the case in that one, it will instantly be destroyed. So I'm not sure if you're going to have too much use out of it. Other two make a bit more sense to me. Although you have to make sure that if you're losing that position, you are getting rid of the ones upstairs, because you are not going to be playing upstairs the entire round. That will be granting the advantage. Okay, let's just go for the spawn peak. I mean, oh no, it's not even a spawn peak. Sludge was already that far. Where did he enter from?
He entered just from West Main window, by the looks of it, just at the top of the stairs.
Was it trophy window?
Trophy
window.
Yeah,
just West Main, either of the two.
Yep. The top of the stairs, found his way around the corner, and Alems was there. Whether he was supposed to be there or not, either way, he made the best use of it and caught them out. Milan also massively suffered, because we instantly saw Alems switch to a different firefight there, realized that they were spraying back at him, just fired back and caught the sides of Milan. I think they sort of realized the risk and reward is it's not worth losing ourselves this early for this loose player. It's a risky engagement. It's a scratchy engagement when you're just spraying through multiple walls and windows to try and hope to get somebody, because at that point you're just using each other's bullets as tracers. And here they've sort of gone, well, we still have a lot of work left to do. Let's see if we can get it done as Box starts to get opened up.
Started to try and find out if Alems is still in the same position as he was before. Of course, he's long gone by now. Went back to the Kona stations to heal himself back up to full. Which is also, of course, one of that strength of Thunderbird. Haven't seen him much in week one. A lot more now, actually. Is Shaiko playing on a pillar, how surprising, with a Kona station just to heal himself up a little bit, trying to take these gunfights aggressively onto the approaching attackers of Virtus.Pro.
Now as everything starts to get burned around here, they're seeing if they can force their way onto this corner. They've gone with a slightly different approach, and Shaiko's going for a slightly different response. Finds the spray on the first and somehow slips away! doesn't quite get picked up there. WTG doesn't find it, but he finds one more, and there's a Lems to lock it off. The two players that are truly driving BDS through this game have kept up that pace and momentum. One more for Shaiko. I believe between the pair of them, they're on 23 kills.
Something like that. We'll just check in a couple of seconds now, as the scoreboard shortly will pop up soon. But what a round that was. Chiro knocked his camera off, has to put that one back on. So tactical timeout now for Virtus.Pro. I see that the coach is actually seated as well. We'll be using this to talk to his team members, because right now it seems like BDS is on the edge of a potential match point. 45 seconds on that clock still. Of course, the timer was extended slightly. Went from 45 to a minute. So coaches have a little bit more time now to get everything sorted. And it seems like Virtus.Pro are being told how to reply to the current aggression that BDS brings. Because, as you said, allows it a very early kill. Even managed to take down Milan to about 20 HP all at the start of the round. And it wasn't even a spawn peak, it was due to their own aggression.
In fairness, I don't think even Lems expected it based on positioning.
No, probably didn't.
And based on where I ended up, but was rewarded for it. The spear can be sharp, as was proven.
Yeah.
There, and then it was built upon, we saw a different take. We saw them open up box instead of just trying to force their way onto the close top of the staircase instead from the piano double door. They thought that they could go with a little bit more width, and Shaiko didn't like that idea. Responded by taking the fight, by swinging onto them.
Yeah.
Wasn't being covered at the same time, and a Type 8, Type 89 doesn't have a huge amount of bullets in it, so when the Hibana went for the fight, potentially was already low. I guess that's one of the things that you're not really looking at the ammo count in that situation from our side. Either way, how many kills? Yeah, 23. 23 between the pair.
Yeah, definitely so. There's only 21 bullets, or 20 depending on when you reloaded, in the Type 89. So generally you're out of ammo quite quickly. It's like the P10 Roni, just a little bit of a lower fire rate and a bit more damage. So yeah, you're going to be able to re-engage quickly if there is continuous fire from that weapon. Either way, it is going to be yet another defensive round from BDS, and they're setting up. Castle barricades are coming out to protect the balcony side of things, at least from the bathroom. Then you have a laser gate going for the piano one. Of course, if there's a sledge, it's easily openable, but Pasha at least has to travel past every single castle barricade to open them up. And, you know, it's costing some time, and that's maybe time they do not want to waste. Are they going quick, by the way?
There's a bit of pace there. It's worth knowing at this point, Alems and Shaiko, between them, have as many kills as Virtus.Pro has in its entirety. Yeah, that's sort of the drive of these two teams, and why it feels like it's those two. And, you know, as I said, it's not that Ranchero statistically is massively underplaying, but it feels like he's not having the impact that he usually has. Playday as well has been caught. Rafal, obviously, you know, hasn't really been able to connect with this game at all. So it's those two players that are sort of lighting up here. And it's not that Virtus.Pro is massively struggling as well. They're definitely putting in a fight. And as you said, they've still got this pace. They weren't going for the rush, but they're definitely going to make sure that they can get control of necessary territory as fast as possible.
Probably this time they had the drones ready, though, to make sure there was no wandering around just in that room. They just decided to enter quickly. Either way, VP trying to put up that pace. The Gemini replicator will be coming in, surely just purely to take care of the laser gate. Able to put up some extra pressure as WTG already going down for the breach, but that's on the top floor, and I believe the site is on the bottom floor indeed. So they're allowed to have that, just not much more than that.
Literally, Shaiko is like, this has been open, so I'm going to peek it. And it's such a different sort of mantle. I talked about how aggressive Virtus.Pro were being in their holds, but they weren't trying to take more territory actively during a firefight. Here, Shaiko is trying to say, well, they're in here, so I'm going to swing on it. This is where I want to apply the pressure. And Rafal finds his first. It's the cover against Milan on the quick swing. The grenades come through. They've been able to get the gate back up, but the grenades slipped past and got the piano shield.
Yeah, but the grenade was thrown in right after it was reactivated again, so that's just another throwable that's now gone. They cannot use to open up that laser gate again. Of course, you really do not want to be using your grenades for it. This grenade might actually catch a kill with the amount of space that is between a player and that castle barricade. If it goes underneath, as Rask picks up a very important kill.
Rafal very quickly gets out of there as that castle wall falls, as does the body inside Piano, and Rask is trying to dig his way further and further. As we pointed out before, the site is below. You still need that vertical control. You still need to try and have some of that if you want to stick the plant, but as Rask finds another head, Rafal finds himself entirely isolated. They are steadily swarming all around, and there could be a little bit of faux caution here.
I think Rafal is still hidden onto that top floor, and he's currently not being spotted out. I believe other drones have completely passed him, and he's just hiding in the little cub. He has the opportunity to go big here, and he's slowly trying to sneak out as Renchiro picks up another very big kill. Renchiro picks up 2 big kills. That's a diffuser dropped, and we still have the top floor control of Rafal. So he's going to be able to at least utilize that if they manage to get hold of the diffuser again. There's 10 seconds left on the clock. Pasha wants to re-engage with that diffuser, picks it up, needs to push in, but there's still utility left to be tossed in. The smoke canisters, he's forced wide and gets picked up. It's Gersheka to drop through the hatch, and this time no kill like we saw before from LMs. He'll just be picked up instead, and that will be another round for BDS, and that will be a match point for BDS.
Well, as I said earlier, it felt like Renchiro wasn't quite that stable pillar, that back line that you wanted, whether he's holding a flank on the attacks or being in those situations, or holding a sort of angle on defense, as we saw before. Yeah. This is one of the first rounds where he has been that immovable object that you always sort of wanted from Renchiro, that you always love to see from his play style here. Obviously, when the top 2 players go out early, it was very well played by Virtus.Pro. They didn't quite catch where Rafal was. They sort of threw themselves in. They realized that they didn't have a huge amount of time, and they tried to make the most of it at that point, but still 6-3. Another round goes BDS's way. They've got over the mantle of what happens if the 2 players that are massively overperforming go down. They still hold on to the round. They hold on to the defense. They hold on just enough time. And they now hold on to a chance of a full 3 points. Here is their first attempt.
Yeah, and that full 3 points would also secure them for EUL 2022. That is just a little side step. It would be literally impossible for currently Rogue and Heroic to catch up and to overtake them. So with that, they would be the first team to secure themselves, as Na'Vi had the opportunity earlier today, but only managed to pick up 2 points today. So they're a little bit reliant into what Rogue does today. 2 or 1? They got 1 point, yes. They want to be, of course, yes. So if Rogue, yeah, spoiler. If you were listening 20 seconds ago, please mute your mic. Either way, yeah. So if Rogue do get a point, then Navi's also confirmed. If they get no points, then the same. 2, then they would have to wait another week.
Well, they have 3 chances. 3 chances here to not only lock out this game, lock themselves in to the next league of EUL, and kind of keep themselves going steadily along. Obviously, they are still that top team, still that team that's fighting with so much furiosity, so much fire, and I guess so much of this continued aggression across the maps. And sure, Chalet is a little bit of a surprise treat from the BDS map pool point of view, but still, as soon as they warmed up to how Virtus.Pro wanted to play this, they seemingly found a little bit of that energy. Now, can Virtus.Pro get some of that back in? Rask is opening up the top floor as he did before, seeing if they can find the angles all the way up to that corner to make sure nobody's in, and also get that camera out. Means they don't have those curious eyes just inside of the top of the staircase.
It's going to be really hard to challenge that window in the bathroom. You really have to do that from the solarium. You're not going to be jumping in and getting the kill here, because that's an M59 watching you. And Virtus.Pro looking to do exactly that, looking to take control of Solarium. Rask, of course, providing a bit of pressure and a bit of support by making sure no one will be jumping over the edge of that wall, because they will be taken out as a result. Rafal just has to be a little bit careful, though, because he is being put under pressure. That wall next to him is being opened up with the Excaros, and that is creating a line of sight. So, actually, did he impact it? I believe he did.
Now, Playday is holding the close angle, and we'd, at this point, previously lost a fair couple of BDS players, so they're still doing better. And I think that's the bit of the warm-up. It was a bit late in the game, sure, for Rafal and Renchiro to sort of find, but here they found it, and they can start trying to apply themselves a little bit more when the push actually comes through. There's a drop and a swing that doesn't quite amount to much, and Virtus.Pro have picked themselves back up. And instead going to see if they can get a bit of, I guess, aggression somewhere else. Dropped on the backside. Milon is baiting a play, hope for a jump up.
Laser sight.
Yeah, the laser sight gives the game away, but at the same time, it's Playday saying, go on, I dare ya.
Definitely so. Milo is looking at that. He's like, there's a laser sight on it now. Let's not jump in because that's probably not going to be ending up too well for me. And there goes Playday, goes wide, went aggressive and gets punished for it. That's going to be the entry, but Renshiro is able to reply before he gets traded out himself.
Suddenly Lems has found one more. WTG is driving his heart across the top as Milon gets a double from underneath. The Lems, bit of a long road all the way back in as they're going to stick the diffuser. They're holding an angle there, and he knows that there's not really a clean way back in. It's a wide peak crawl. It was a good read from Virtus.Pro. The reason I believe Playday went for that peak was actually somebody set up on the double window of the bedroom. Yeah. And suddenly that hold he's got down that straight line, there was nothing that was breaking that line of sight. He has to sort of go for broke there, and unfortunately being shot in the face by Milan's F2 is broke.
I think that is a good alternative indeed for it in that case. Either way, there's still 2 more opportunities here for BDS to lock it out. First one of them got denied by Virtus.Pro. Managed to at least bring it back ever so slightly. See what side we're heading to now. Shiro really picking up some of the kills as well. Bar Gaming, all right. So the mirrors being 6-picked out will be brought in for the Thunderbird. Now, you saw the Twitch was there, but it got swapped out to a Zofia. That's not a change I would personally make if the mirror was on the board. Or they might have known they were going for a 6-pick. Reverse psychology in that.
Never know what's known. Who knows
the
what?
Unknown. What, the known unknown? Or the unknown?
It's the unknown known.
Which one is it? Or the unknown unknown?
Oh, I don't know.
It's many different things.
It's good from Virtus.Pro these past couple rounds. They've been able to sort of step themselves in terms of trying to pull apart. I think WTG as well. Twice we've seen him as a drive across some of these fights. We're starting to get that lead in from Virtus.Pro. They're happy to try and isolate players. They're happy to get a bit of fire into the site itself. They're not looking for a slower setup. I think that was the punishment that happened when they were doing the box opening before, as the easiest example to give, was they were trying to get a setup. They were trying to do a take against BDS, and here it's a lot more receptive, this recent sort of play and resurgence of them. They still have 2 more rounds to go, though, before they find themselves pulling. Who is that?
I think that is, he's in France.
Why have they cut him out? Why have they cut Fresh out?
He has a picture in front of a green screen, I believe, so they just used the green screen that was in the...
Or they didn't even do it on purpose, and it's an also green screen.
Well, that would be cool. If that's the case. Either way.
Fresh
predictions has been
France.
What he doesn't know yet is that he gets fired if he doesn't get above 50% predictions. Yeah. And it doesn't count for casters, that's just for analysts, because they are supposed to study the game.
I mean, technically so are we, but...
Yeah, I mean, but not in the same way that we should know every...
Not in the same way.
How am I going to save myself from this one?
I think you're going to get fired as well, mate. 2 minutes. 2 minutes on, and they've been able to start their build here. They're trying to burn through these Aruni gates. They've been able to get open some of the pressure that they have. The lead-in comes through now, but they're not going to instantly go behind it. BDS aren't trying to reactivate all of their mantles here, and I'm curious to see if we get a little bit more caution from the guns of Shaiko, who's otherwise been very active in the movement and mobility he's taken. He's holding onto that pillar position, but, well, he goes for the swing anyway. A slightly different version, a slightly different variation, but it sounds just as good as the original if you're a BDS fan.
No, my Magnet just not active in time to save the shield from being detonated, and now WTG using a couple of these X-Kairos to create a line of sight. Kozheka with a great kill onto Shaiko, who just was healed back up, I believe, by the Kona station, and that is going to be opening things up just ever so slightly. That means that now Fireplace is able to be contested, and now the next fight will be onto the library stairs, and of course the library itself, which are being held off furiously by Rafal, and I believe that was Playday.
Milon's going for a bit of a swing round towards the window itself, see if they can apply some pressure directly onto the site, but also importantly, see if they can catch anyone who goes for the drop on the hatch too. It means that Renshiro is in a much less comfortable position if he had waited a bit longer, but he has not. He's actually found his way to a bit of a freedom in Virtus.Pro. They're going to burn a little time trying to get the clarity on that. The slipping past the top of the staircase does give a bit of that idea away, because you massively need to try and keep that as aggressive as they were holding it before.
What do you shoot the Coda station for, WTG? You have the control. You could just use it to get 30 extra HP for your final execute. If it comes down to that, that will be very detrimental here for Virtus.Pro, as the last 20 seconds are about to hit.
The Bulletproof is giving a bit of a read towards anyone that might try and drop behind it, but at the same time, there's nothing else that's really active at this moment. Rafali's pulled himself even further back down. He's waiting for the firefight to swing round, and it goes away from him. WTG with the Type 89 finds one more. The spray across the top of the staircase, down beneath them as the grenade bounces towards that back line of the barrels that are keeping everything a bit safe and sweet. Playday is the man with the clutch moment, and BDS are confirmed for the next season of EUL, confirmed with another 3 points, and Virtus.Pro, unfortunately, couldn't quite have the rise back that they started to flirt with the idea of towards the end of that game.
Yeah, they started so strong in the first 3 rounds, able to pick up 2 of them, but after that BDS, well, they started waking up with some amazing kills to come through, and basically that lasted throughout the entirety of the game. At the end, managed to lock it off here with 2 rounds, or basically an extra round to spare. That's going to be the full 3 points. That is also going to be helping them, of course, later down the line for qualification for a major. But first of all, EUL 2022.
First of all, even though that's really far away.
It's far away,
First of all.
but they already have it.
Second of all, let's throw it over to them. The three of them. Third of all. Take it away, Milos.
Thank you, M. Boy, have I missed this duo in the studio.